Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Eye of the Storm. Okay, to my right is Fury. Hi, Fury.
Hey.
And you guys know Kubie and Shot's still trying to wake up. No, not during HGC time. Don't worry, Aranath. This is going to be uploaded to YouTube, so you can watch this later if you so choose. But who wants to watch HGC when they could watch us? Right?
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
All right, today
Next
is...
game looks like it's going to be 3-0 anyways.
No! All right, today's episode is Team Fighting Tank Edition. We have a lot of good stuff for you. We also have a giveaway at the end of the stream from Fury. Let me actually put that... there you go, a BattleNet gift card. Oh shit! Don't show the code.
Oh my god, you have to scratch it off first.
Oh, okay.
Leaked.
All right. Let me see. Okay. Hold on, let me tweet this out. Sorry, guys. I'm really bad at, multitasking. Okay. All right, so, Fury, tell us about yourself. Put you on a spot.
All right. Well, as you guys know, I'm Fury. I play for LFM Esports right now as their tank player. And, yeah, just looking forward to seeing how, this roster does. They all seem pretty motivated and pretty hungry to, improve and show, what they can do in next phase. I think at the end of last phase, people that have been watching LFM can kind of notice that they did get a little bit better. At the beginning of phase 1, they didn't seem that strong, but they started to really improve. But now with some more different roster changes, I think that next phase they'll be a lot stronger. So excited to see what we can do.
I'm excited. I wanna see you guys go to BlizzCon. That's my goal. I need to see you
That'd
guys go to
be
BlizzCon.
Yeah.
That's everyone's goal.
That's everyone's goal. That's my goal, even if
Definitely
I'm not playing. And then Kubie, how you doing? You good?
I'm doing.
You're doing?
I'm doing.
Shot, you hanging in there?
I'm doing as best I can right now, right?
Any way to turn up Fury? Can I turn Fury up? Yes, I can. He's already up.
Hello.
He's up to 137%.
Oh my. Do I have to turn myself up, or are we good?
No, I think I got you.
All right.
Is the music okay for everybody? Hey, Not Paradox. Hey, Rockets. Hey, Ibis. Hey, Pergius. Everybody's in here. Okay, so last week we talked about basic tank, or basic team fighting mechanics. If you haven't seen that episode, we are working on uploading it to YouTube as well. I think episode 1 has already been uploaded. It just needs to add the watermarks and stuff. So, yeah. All right, so we're just gonna dive right into it. Let's just get the big picture. What is your role as a tank?
That's a pretty open-ended question, honestly, because tanks do so many things in this game.
Yeah.
They're by far tank is by far the hardest role to learn and master in this game, because you dictate the pace of a team fight. You disengage for your team if the fight is unfavorable, if someone gets caught out. A lot of those fall on you as the tank to try to control those scenarios.
Okay.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of responsibility as the tank player. And when you watch pro players play, or even just in Hero League, if a tank player makes a mistake, that's the most noticeable player you'll notice on a team is the tanks. Because if you see they mess up, you really notice they mess up, and it's really easy to I guess kind of blame the tank for starting the fight really poorly, because let's say they power slid in, they missed their engage, and then they messed up. Now they're in a poor position, and because he made a poor decision, now they lost that team fight, they lost the objective. Now the other team's snowballing, and it's just it just goes chaotic from there. Yeah. So if your tank player is not solid, one bad mistake can lead into game changing. You're gonna be behind now. So I think just like as the tank player, you really have to dictate how the game is flowing up for your team.
Okay. So I do have some questions on Twitter that the tweet that I tweeted out yesterday. I know one of them was, what is the best time to draft a tank when you're like in Hero League and you're in the drafting phase? Like, what is the best time to draft a tank? Does it really matter?
Well, there are a lot of tanks that are super meta right now, such as like Garrosh, ETC, Johanna. Really, you want to look at if the enemy has already shown a lot of what their comp is supposed to do, you can draft a tank that kind of controls that the best. Usually Garrosh does that the best because his kit is pretty versatile, but other tanks can work as well, like ETC, Johanna. A Nubarak works sometimes, but usually other tanks are better. It just depends.
So if we're talking about Hero League, the most common tank you'll probably see almost every, I'd say, was it League or I can't think of, like Bronze, Silver, Gold, like all of them. I think you'll see Garrosh the most. Maybe not so much in like the lower because maybe Garrosh is a little bit harder to play if you can't do his combo correctly. But the most contested tank right now in Hero League is just Garrosh, and then a lot of people actually like Muradin a lot because you can actually do quite a lot of damage with him if you're rewarded by getting a lot of stun stacks in the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
So you'll see those two warriors picked a lot, and then a little bit of Diablo. He's fallen off quite a bit, but he's still like, at least in high GM for some reason, you still see a lot of Diablos. Maybe because we have like 3 Diablo 1 tricks in high GMs.
Yeah.
Oh, shots. I see a lot of Diablo in lower leagues too. He's one of the most picked. Yeah, Paradox just called them out over there, Rich and Bam Bam. That's exactly who I thought of was Bam Bam.
Yeah.
Okay, so what tank heroes are viable to play right now? Like I know you kind of touched on that, Fury. So first of all, let's talk about what meta means. Some might not know what that means. What does meta mean?
Meta is like the current trend of like which heroes are best, like generally, and have like niche, I guess.
They kind of like synchronize
purposes.
well together, like with their abilities, or.
Well, like meta is generally like the heroes that are strongest. Like that's so that's going to be like Garrosh, Genji, like Malfurion, like heroes that are just undoubtedly better than other heroes at a lot of things.
Yeah, no matter how you draft them, they work in almost every composition you draft or almost every map.
Huh. Okay. So what tanks right now are pretty viable in the meta? In the current meta, what is the current meta right now? Stuns? Lockdown?
Honestly, this meta, it's kind of really open, I feel.
Yeah.
Like, especially with the tank pool, there's a huge tank pool right now. I think Diablo's fallen off a little bit, but he's still played quite a bit.
Diablo's picked all the time still.
Yeah. I still like Diablo. He's not as overpowered with his 13-16 stun talents, because you used to be able to like one-shot even tanks with that build. But now it's like more sustainy for himself, and like his lightning breath is a little more sustained damage in a team fight if you pick that talent.
But Fury, aren't you an APOC one trick?
Yeah, I still go APOC. The build that I go on Diablo, it's a little bit different than what people do, but I think it's the style I like to play. Mainly with my Diablo builds, I need to auto attack a lot more to get the battle momentum on his level 7 value, and if you're sitting there casting lightning breath, you're not auto attacking. And I don't know, APOC still, it's really good CC, it's good engage. I still think it's a good ult, but I think lightning breath's still good too. They're probably 50-50, they're both good, so none of are a bad choice. It's just I prefer APOC because I can auto attack after I cast my APOC combo. But
I like APOC too.
Yeah, in terms of the tank pool right now, it's like almost every tank you can use. There's like certain ones that are just better. I think like the top like top god tiers are like Garrosh, etc, and then maybe Muradin, but like I think those two, Garrosh and etc, are the top two you'll always see, and then it like kind of drops from there, but you'll still see play from like Muradin, Tyrael, Diablo, Nubarak. What else is there? Johanna, yep.
I love Johanna. She's my favorite.
There was a time in the meta where it was only like, I don't know, ETC and Diablo, and then after that, Garrosh too, but like after that it really dropped off where you don't really see that many tanks, but right now the pool is really high for tank players.
So let's talk about this. So what is 2 tank compositions? That used to be a thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
That used to be a thing.
So
is. 2 tanks versus like so let's talk about one single main tank versus 2 bruiser comps. Like I understand it depends on the comp, but like what really is better? Is there any one that is better?
It really depends on what the enemy
what
team comp is, or what your comp is supposed to do. Like generally, I think that having a tank with a bruiser is a lot better for team fights in a lot of scenarios, just because you have that sturdy front line to back up your squishy back line. But it really depends on what your comp is supposed to do and what the enemy team comp is. A lot of it is subjective.
Okay, so what would be a good so say the enemy team, has most of their draft picked and your last pick. What is like a good draft to go against to have, 2 bruisers versus a main tank? Like how do you know which one is better depending on the enemy team's comp? Like how do you know when to pick a main tank versus when to pick 2 bruisers?
I don't think you really ever want 2 bruisers. It's usually like a main tank and a bruiser.
I always see that. I always see that in silver. It's always Artanis and Sonya, and then we don't have a main tank.
Maybe that's just a silver thing. But, my knowledge and anything I say, I'm basing off either high GM or from HGC level play.
Yep. Exactly.
If you ever see like a warrior like me or a tank not on like a main tank, it's basically going to be cheese. So if I'm like playing Diva or Zarya, which are technically bruisers, then we're just trying to cheese whatever map.
So what do you mean by cheese?
So generally in every game, you always want a main support and a main tank. And then after that, you can kind of draft whatever. But like, with the support, you see solo Abathur heal. That's kind of technically a little bit of cheese because Abathur can't really sustain as much as like a lot of the main healers, but I think there's like a few. I think Abathur keeps up with, what is it, Brightwing?
Yeah.
Brightwing I think like Abathur can actually heal more than Brightwing, which is, I think even with Blink heal, which is kind of sad for a main support like Brightwing, but I think I've always seen Brightwing used more as utility than actual healing numbers. So like her polymorph for pixie dust, and then Vigo Emerald Wind.
What she's always been best at is mitigating damage, not pumping out heals.
So that's what you mean by utility. She doesn't necessarily, what Shot said, heal very well, but she can, mitigate, anybody doing damage to any of your teammates with polymorph
So cheese in terms of tanks is, sorry to interrupt, but cheese for tanks is like, I don't know, like when you want your frontline to have like a job. You either want them to engage for your team, which Zarya and Diva don't really do, or you want them to like peel for your team, like a Johanna would. And let's say you have like a Hanzo carry or a Phoenix carry, you want to make sure you can like peel anyone like jumping on them. And I guess Zarya and Diva can kind of do that, but not nearly as well as like an ETC or Johanna, who have like hard CC like a stuns or knockbacks. Where Zarya and Diva, you can knock back and then use your Matrix to mitigate damage. And then Zarya, you just put a shield on whoever you need to. But like generally, you don't really want to draft 2 bruisers like that. Yeah. Unless it's like for sure cheese. Like it would have to be like Diva, you draft her on like Infernal Shrines. And you just use her to use the bomb on the shrines to get the objective. Because that's kind of like when you draft Alexstrasza for shrines, you use the Dragon Queen to make sure you can get the objective. And then Zarya, generally you draft to like, I don't know, split push or like just hard push one lane with Zarya shields.
And Zarya's not a main tank. She's just a bruiser, right?
She's considered a bruiser, yeah.
Considered a bruiser. Okay. Now
I would say.
Go ahead, Kubie.
Turn on.
I'd say she's one of the heroes that are in that weird like utility role, like Tyrande and Tassadar and Abathur, where they can fit like where they're they're just like a utility hero, I think.
Yeah, because I like to describe Tyrande as not a healer, but she's like a support, like a damage support. Does that make kind of? She's
a utility hero through stun and damage, and then she happens to have a heal button.
Yeah, happens to have a heal button, just in case.
I mean, aren't they reworking her relatively soon?
I hope so.
That'd be cool.
I would love to. Oh yeah, Kubie's favorite hero is Tyrande.
Yeah, I would love to play her again.
Yeah.
All right, so let's see. All right, let me see. We talked about cheese comps. In terms of what your role is as a tank, how do you know when to really? Because for example, when I'm in silver, normally a lot of my tanks like Diablo and ETC are way too aggressive, very aggressive, and then they leave our entire backline open, and then they blame us for not doing enough damage. So, how do you know as a tank? What are the key things to look for? Because when you're tanking, you really have to kind of watch over your entire team, correct?
Yep.
So, like...
You babysit your team.
Yeah, basically. So how do you know when it's okay to go ham or when you have to back off? Because there's so many things you have to look out for and so many things that you have to really, like... You got to watch your team's health pool. You got to watch your team's mana pool so you know, like, how to... give the pace of each team fight. So what are some things you have to look for as a tank to keep your team alive?
I think the biggest thing for tanks, I think aside from Johanna, but all the other tanks should be sitting in a bush, just giving vision. And while you're giving vision, like, you can call rotations on where you think they are. And then you can also call a lot of missing, so making sure your offlane is safe. But the main thing you want to do as a tank is not show on the map as much as possible. I think aside from Johanna, because generally when you draft Johanna, you want her like going lane to lane wave clearing with her condemn. So she's going to be showing a lot if she has to wave clear, which is generally why you pick Johanna, is because you need a little bit more wave clear for the team. But when you're not playing Johanna, like if you're playing, let's say Muradin or Garrosh are good examples, you want to be sitting in a bush like somewhere either in the middle of the map or maybe on their side of the map if you think it's safe. And you just want to be giving vision. Like if you sit in a bush, let's say on Infernal Shrines, the little bush right next to the goat camp, you can just sit there and like you see them like, all right, they're doing this camp, so that means top side you're safe to push really hard because you see all of their players like on the bottom side. So now that gives your top side vision and they can play aggressive, they can push out their lane. Because when you don't have any vision of, their 4-man, like people mid-bottom on Shrines, then your top lane should generally just sit on his mount and be careful, wait until they show. And then once, the information that your tank player gives, like is given to your other laner, then they can play aggressive, start pushing the lane. And then once they push their lane, they can get the like wave clear advantage on their lane and then rotate down middle for either a collapse on a gank in middle or just to, help clear mid and then go back top. So like the most important thing as a tank is just getting vision and information for your team.
You're also providing more than just vision. You're providing a sense of danger to the enemy team. Like they don't know where, say you have a Garrosh or something, like they don't know where the Garrosh is, which means they don't know where everybody else on your team is typically. Or they see like 1 or 2 in a lane, but that's still a possibility. If they rotate the wrong way, they're going to die instantly into a combo. So they have constant pressure while you're just gaining information on them. It's like a double win scenario for you.
Okay.
You'll see situations too where like Infernal Shrine sticks out for me, where like, let's say you're both doing your camps, but they have like, say, 2 people doing their camps and they have other people split in lane. You can send if your tank is like pretty safe, like ETC, you can send your tank over there to just like threaten an invade on that camp. Like you can do little plays like that too as a tank and just like mind game them.
Yeah, sometimes on shrines you want to like, the knight camp or the shaman camp, whatever you want to call it. Generally, teams want to hold that once the objective is spawning. So like around 15 seconds before it spawns, then you want to like cap it. Because some teams, they kill it, and then like before you capture, you just let it sit there a bit. So if you show like a tank just running up to it, then like that threatens them, saying like, oh, we need to cap this now. They might invade because they don't know how many people are behind the ETC or Muradin or Garrosh coming in. Mm-hmm. So you can like force them to, cap the objective or their camp earlier than they wanted. So you could do like some little neat tricks like that. It's just like provides threat, and like, they kind of need to respect that, their tank just got vision of what they were doing.
Okay, so I have a question in chat. I often see that a double tank with any combo of warriors. I often see a double tank with a specialist often loses. Is this just luck, or is there a problem with that setup?
I mean, I don't think there's a problem with that setup. It depends on depends on what your team comp is designed to do and what the enemy team's comp is designed to do and who executes that better.
Yeah, because last week we talked about any comp can win if you utilize what you have.
Yeah.
So
it really depends on, when you say specialist, it really depends which specialist, because a lot of them do different things. Like, let's say you have Hammer. I think she's more of an assassin than a specialist, and because like she does as much damage as one. So if you draft her as your specialist, then like if you have a double bruiser, a double tank, then I'm guessing you have like a ETC or Johanna to protect her, and your second one is probably like a Blaze or maybe a Tyrael, just so you provide a sanctification or a bunker for your Hammer in case she needs it. So that's like one comp you can do with a specialist. The only other specialist I can think of that's not really cheese is like Abathur. So like you can have your Abathur help top lane just completely like bully them with a hat, and then pushing with the Locust Swarm in that lane. So you can do that with that composition with a specialist and 2 tanks.
Okay. Does that answer your question? I hope it
Personally,
does.
I don't really like the word specialist in this game at all.
Me too.
I wish it was just like range damage instead, because like
Range
specialist
damage.
is such a vague term. It
Yeah.
means so much.
Yeah.
There's a big difference between, like I said, Sergeant Hammer and like, I don't know, the Lost Vikings.
Yeah.
They're two heroes that do 2 completely different things. Where the Vikings, they're not that strong at team fighting. Like they are a little bit once all 3 of them are together, and if you have spin the win on a backline. But the main reason you draft Viking is so you could get soak in all the lanes, while your other 4 heroes go do something together on the map and get a lead that way, while the team's still not making, still like collecting all the soak. But then you have like Hammer, who's like, you draft her just to like siege one lane. You want to protect her, and then like mainly you see Hammer a lot lately, if you've been watching MSB, is for Volskaya, and you just want her to siege up on the outside of the objective and just poking down their front line. If they have a Genji, if he ever goes in, like you just shield your Hammer with like a task or something, and then Genji's just always going to get out traded. So it really depends, like, which specialist you draft, and like it has to make sense for the comp. And like, I don't know, the word specialist doesn't really mean much to me.
Stupid Genji.
Yeah.
Specialists are particularly good on maps where you're fighting over an objective, because they do so. A lot of them do very well with point control, like Proteus, Nazeebo, Hammer.
So what's point control?
Basically, just they can't ever step onto an area of the map. So like
Any type of objective. You can't you can't get to the enemy team.
Yeah.
So
like
Volskaya, like you have a point, and like if you're if the tank has to sit on that point, they're gonna take a lot of damage from the specialist because I don't know, they like Zagara, Probius, and Nazebo, they're all throwing their specialist abilities on that point.
They're
And,
garbage.
well, Nazebo toads are pretty scary as the front line.
Let's be nice,
Yeah.
Shot. Let's be nice.
God, when Zagara was like super good way back in the
my
day,
gosh.
we used to just call her a poop flinger because that's all she did. She just threw stuff at you and you die, and it didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
All right. As much as I love specialists, this is tank edition. So let's go back to tanks. Okay. So, what was I saying? I think I was talking about going super ham with your tank, as opposed to peeling for your team. Okay. So what exactly does peel mean? Because I know a lot of in my games, I say we need peel. There's a Genji on our back line. I need help, and people are like, I am peeling, but they're like way off chasing one of the enemy heroes, and I'm just like, but I'm back here, and Genji's like stab, 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 and I'm like, help, and they're like, oh, you're not doing enough damage. Okay, I think describe peeling.
If you want to see a really, really good example of this, it was Temple Storm versus Genji on Volskaya. Tist was on Johanna, and then Rich was on Sergeant Hammer, and Tist was literally just sitting next to Hammer the entire game, just like, you can't ever touch my Hammer. Like, she was right there ready to peel at all times.
And who was she on?
Johanna.
Oh, she's on Johanna. Okay.
But that's how like Johanna plays. Like you play usually really close to your backline, not like really close, but like it just allows you to control the enemy's engage and lets your backline disengage and just get the space that they need to do damage, because that's like what a lot of that's a big function of tanks, is to give your damage dealer space to deal damage. So they don't feel threatened.
I feel Johanna's really good at peeling. Johanna and
Like one of her main jobs.
ETCs are both really good at peeling. Yeah?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to start playing Diablo because I just got the new Diablo Legendary skin in a loot box. So,
Nice.
so in terms of playing Diablo, he's a very aggressive tank, I feel.
Yes.
So I know there's peeling, but he doesn't really have a AoE peel like ETC or Johanna has, like with Johanna's W and ETC's pushback. I don't know what the name of it is. So how do I know when I can pick Diablo and still make sure that my backline is safe? Like, when can I go ham and like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, like, let's say that you have a Johanna a Diablo with like a Sergeant Hammer. You basically want to, the way that I would play that is to engage off of their engage, which is counter engaging. So like, let's say they have like a Genji, he goes in on your hammer. You Q him instantly, you pressure him. Like that is in my eyes how you would play something like that.
So for the Diablo, I would say, like, if they have any dive heroes, you don't necessarily, like, I know Johanna can really engage in a team fight, like, because I've done that. I've gone in and said, hey, we're engaging now, let's fight. But I feel like Diablo can't do that. So counter engaging, I feel like you wait for them, what you said, Shot, you wait for them to engage you, and then you're like, okay, you're freaking diving on my Vala, get the heck off, and you just kind of mitigate that dive, right? Or is that complete opposite of what Kubie just said?
I mean, that's basically what it depends on the situation that you're in, like at all times with the tank. It's like when you pick a warrior, you have to think like, okay, what is my comp? How am I supposed to support my comp so we win? That's usually what you need to do.
Okay. Yeah.
If you have a dive comp, then Diablo, he just EQs in on whatever target you guys are calling, and you kill them. If you have like a sergeant Hammer as your main damage dealer, Diablo can't do that because you need to fight in Hammer's range, and you need to protect her.
Yeah, generally I think if you draft Diablo to peel, they have to have very specific heroes that Diablo is really good against. So like Tracer, Genji are the two top ones that Diablo can really peel for his team, mainly because you just press Shadow Charge on them and then you just wall stun them and use your overpower to flip them, and that provides a lot of pressure for those two heroes because they're pretty squishy, and generally they're off alone near walls. So Diablo can peel for those heroes specifically, but I think if it was like I don't know, I guess like a Sonya or like, I don't know, Tychus or Jaina, it's really hard to peel against those heroes. Mainly because like after you use your CC on them, they're generally going to be fine, and then Jaina's going to be slowing you, and you're going to be pressured a lot. Tychus just has his minigun, and Tychus has a really high health pool for a range carry, so he could just turn around and minigun you to death while like that's just the range carry. So if like you try and peel for your team, and if it's not that good of like a peel, like if you have to charge in to peel, then you might take a lot more damage than like what you're doing to peel. Generally, I don't like Diablo as a peeling tank. You want to use him only to either counter a Genji Tracer. And if they don't have those heroes, you want to use Diablo just to engage fights and control like specific positions, because his W build, the Fire Stomp build, got buffed, and then Lightning Breath got buffed too. So
Danger in chat says the Diablos I end up with always super dive the squishies instead of helping the team. If you have a Diablo on your team, how can you deal with him? Like, how can you deal with a Diablo that's constantly diving and not really helping the backline? Like, what can you do as like a squishy to like just position better? Or
it's difficult. It depends what, I guess, squishy you're on. So if you're like Hanzo or Phoenix, they don't really have burst to follow up off of a Diablo combo unless you like commit like the arrow or like salvo or the purifier beam. Like they're pretty sustained damage, meaning like they do damage over time. Like it's not going to be instant burst unless you commit those ultimates. Like in Dragon Arrow's not that like bursty. It's just good follow up off of a combo. But like if a Diablo's like going way like out of your range and you're like on Hanzo or Phoenix, like those heroes that want to like kind of stay in the back, kite, like poke their front line and stuff like that, you just have to try and tell your Diablo to just protect you.
Yeah.
Even though I don't think Diablo's a good tank to play with those two heroes. No. Like if you draft a Diablo, like the damage you want is like a Genji. If we're talking about range, maybe a Genji, maybe a Jaina.
Something with burst usually.
Yeah, burst, like KT could be
most
fine.
Most mages, yeah.
Yeah, most mages. Like Gul'dan's a little bit slow, but you can follow up with a good Horrify, which is his ultimate. So you can like combo. Diablo can charge in, do his combo, and then once they're coming in to like either like attack Diablo or help whoever got attacked by Diablo, like your Gul'dan could get a really good Horrify and just completely split them.
Yeah.
So yeah, mainly you just want to draft high burst with whenever you have a Diablo like charging in. But if you don't have that burst damage to instantly follow up a Diablo going ham, then you have to just tell your Diablo to relax a little bit and like fight closer to the team.
And hopefully he listens.
Yeah, hopefully he listens.
When to draft Irel. We will talk about Irel after we do all of what we had planned for today. Don't worry, we're going to talk about her because she's like the hot topic of
Don't
this.
You worry.
Don't you worry, we'll talk about her. Okay, so I have another question. Oh wait, here. Mesa has a question for Fury. A lot of high-ranked veteran players prefer going for Army of the Dead instead of Sindragosa. Are there instances where Sindragosa would be a better pick?
So generally, when you see Arthas in play, you honestly don't see that much Arthas, sadly. He's just kind of fallen off. The reason why, I'll quickly say this first. So the reason why people picked Arthas back then is because Greymane was really high in the meta. And then way back in the day, Illidan was meta. And what Arthas would do is just reduce their movement speed and attack speed with his Frozen Waste. And then you have the root to peel as well. So like Arthas was really good at peeling those high auto attackers that are melee range. So he can like just, stack on them and protect his team. But I think as of now, let's say if we were to draft Arthas in 2018, if you pick Syndragosa, what Syndragosa does, just think of like kind of like a Sylvanas or like a curse when you get 3 curses on the tribute. Like you're just disabling their structures and then you can advance forward.
So don't take Syndragosa on Ravenlord map.
Yeah,
it's
they
basically useless.
do the same thing.
Yeah.
But whenever you see pro players pick Syndragosa, that means you're on like a BOE or Infernal Shrines, an objective that just pushes by itself, meaning like you don't get in like the Dragon Knight, you don't get in the Volskaya thing. Like you have an objective that's like NPC controlled that just walks down the lane by itself. So whenever you do see it, it probably will be mostly on Infernal Shrines or BOE. I think more commonly BOE, and that means you're level 10, they're level 8. You can win the game. Like your immortal shield is like really high health. You can probably end this game if you just go Syndragosa and just like all in on the keep and then look for kills off, because you freeze the keep and the towers if you angle it right. So once you all in with Syndragosa, you're committed to just ending the game right then and there. Yeah. And if you don't for some reason, then you still have like a 2 or 3 level advantage. And the way Arthas has to play, since he doesn't have army, you just have to just watch your health pool and not go too crazy if they have like high impact ults that can kill an Arthas pretty fast without an army. So yeah, generally, TLDR, when you pick Syndragosa, you want to end the game with your objective right then and there.
And don't get in the Dragon Knight because then you'd be useless.
Yeah.
Especially if you want Syndragosa.
Yeah, I don't think you ever want to go Syndragosa on those maps. I mean, like I said, you only want to go Syndragosa on maps where the objective or like a boss is just auto pushing by itself in the lane.
A lot of times on those maps specifically, it's like you're going to Syndragosa, the 5 people that aren't the objective obviously are looking for kills. They're not looking for damage on the fort. They're not looking to help kill the fort. They're really just trying to get a kill or 2 off of the Syndragosa slow just so that they can have staggered death timers or even just long enough death timers that they can continue getting more advantages or possibly just end the game completely off of all the kills that they got.
See, I would have never guessed that like Syndragosa, like I would have never, not guessed because it makes sense, but I would have never thought of using Syndragosa just to get like, make the enemy team do staggered deaths. Like that's just one of these things that like, you just gotta think of. I don't know. It's like you guys said, it's easy to play, hard to master this game.
Yeah. It's very it's very rare that I guess pro players go Syndragosa. I think the only time you should do it is if you're like 2 or 3 levels ahead. But if both teams like are 10 and let's say you still have the immortal on them, I don't think it's worth to even go Syndragosa. I think you still go army if it's an even level game. But you still have the immortal pushing or whatever. Like, I think since you don't have that big of a lead, you still want to play it safe and just go army. Mm-hmm. Unless like you've built a very specific push comp with Syndragosa, meaning like if you're always going to get the immortal every single time, then I think it would be safe to go Syndragosa. But if you don't get the immortal every time, then you're going to lose value off Syndragosa.
I would say you'd have to severely outdraft the enemy team for Syndragosa to be a major consideration for you, to be honest. Because a lot of Arthas' power is in his self-sustain in team fights with his Q and his R. Like he just walks in and you can't kill him. Yeah. That's kind of what you want Arthas to do.
Yeah.
Just have him stand on the back line and just be like, okay, what are you gonna do about it?
Exactly.
Yeah. I think sorry.
Go ahead.
I keep interrupting you.
No, it's fun hearing you talking about it because you're so passionate.
Shot. Okay,
I do like Syndragosa for the level 20 is actually insane. The range is like doubled or whatever, but the main thing is it roots people for 2 seconds and it has a really wide range.
Yeah.
So I think if they gave Arthas the level 10, like if it can root at level 10, I think that you would see a lot of Syndragosa play then because that's actually really good. I don't think don't give the range buff at level 10.
No, just make it root. So.
Yeah, if it roots, I think that then you would see a lot more Arthas play.
It would open up a lot of kills.
It'd be I think it'd be really OP. Honestly, they'd probably have to reduce the range at 10.
Yeah, because you could engage from fog and just have a Kerrigan or a Maev waiting to get like, the god pulls.
Yeah, so once you hit 20 with right now, if you hit 20 with Sindragosa, I think it really like you can impact like just winning the game off a good Sindragosa, going down the lane and rooting like up to 5 people.
Okay, so Nuptup says any rule of thumb on tips on when it's best to stagger, and then stagger the enemy, and then Rocket says tips on when it's good to peel as a main tank. So
For staggering enemies, it's mostly just before the objective spawns.
So what does staggering an enemy mean exactly?
Making sure that someone on the enemy team is dead when others are alive, and then so like once that death timer is getting lower, say it's a 30-second death timer, so it's 30-second death timer, it gets down to 10 seconds, and then you kill another person, then they have a full death timer and someone's just coming back to life, so they still can't fight as a full group of people, so you've effectively staggered their death timers so that you consistently have an advantage.
There you go.
Yeah.
Very good explanation. Thank you, Shot. Is there a general rule of thumb for diving or peeling as a
It
main tank?
really depends on the situation.
Yeah.
It really depends what comp you draft and then kind of like what they draft, but mainly you want to focus on whatever composition your team has, and you have to pick the right tank to do the right job for your team. So like I said before, if you have like super hard carries like a Hanzo or a Phoenix, which is pretty common, like that's like your hard carry you want to protect. The best tanks for that are like Johanna, ETC, and then Yash is still pretty good at peeling too. You can protect your allies with, the level 7 ally throw. He has an AoE taunt, so if any melee get close to him, you can taunt. And then, yeah, it's pretty much like if you need to peel for your allies, you just draft those tanks. But if your team is more divey, like a Genji, Tracer, maybe Sonya, like you want to go like Tyrio, Diablo. ETC could still work. He's a little bit slow though. But like once you use your power slide, he has no mobility. But yeah, it really depends what comp you got, like your team drafts, and then you have to pick the right tank to do their job.
Okay, I'm going to take one more question, then we're going to move on to another tank topic. I'm curious to hear Fury's thoughts on the current state of Rexar and using Misha for vision, ward, and bushes.
Okay, well, Rexar or Misha, well, they'll never be a main tank. I'm sorry if that's not what you want to hear. But I'll tell you that the only good situation I see Rexar being played, even if I play it as a main tank, would be like to cheese on like Braxis or something like that. But even then, you see the offlaners use Rexar way more than the main tanks. Like I've never really seen a main tank player use Rexar unless they're completely trolling in their match or so. But I've never seen it. But generally, whenever you do see Rexar, it's on Braxis, and the main job for that Rexar in the off lane, which is the top lane, is to Rexar, like. You have the level 1 wave clear with your bird, so you throw the bird at the wave, and then while the beacons are up, you have Misha on the point, and with your men pet, it's actually really, depending what the other offlaner is, it's really hard to catch the wave that Rexar is clearing and also control the beacon, because Misha has really high health pool. She has more health than Rexar, so keep that in mind. With men pet, so. And there's also some cheesy talents where you can upgrade your men pet, so you could just never get Misha off the point, so that's going to be really hard. At least if you're 1v1 against Misha Rexar, it's really hard to clear the wave and also get beacon control. So that's like the one and only situation you'll probably ever see Rexar being drafted.
Same sort of applies to Dragonshire.
Yeah, I was going to say Dragonshire too.
I
haven't seen that in a while.
I never take Rexar because I'm always sad when Misha dies. I refuse to play Rexar ever. I played him once and then Misha died and I got really sad. Like I refuse, if there's a Rexar on the other team, I will not focus the Misha. Just out of like, I feel bad. I hate it. Absolutely hate it.
There's
all right.
a joke where people don't even call Rexar the hero anymore. They're like, yeah, Misha and her.
Yeah.
You call the hero Misha. Because Misha does
Misha's
do
the
more.
entire character.
Yeah, Misha does have more impact than Rexar.
2 of Rexar's abilities is about Misha, so yeah.
All right.
3 if you take that ult.
Yeah,
So-
maybe take Bistro Wrath.
All right, let's move on to the next thing. So when to prioritize going after... Oh, wait. No, that's not what I wanted. Crap. All right. What do I want? What do I want? Okay, so as a tank, when should you re-engage? How do you know when to, like, if you're doing a team fight, okay, and how do I want to ask this? I don't know how to ask this.
I kind of understand what you're saying.
Yeah, so how do you know to re-engage? How do you know to set that pace for your team, to let your team re-engage the enemy team after a team fight? Instead of like how do you know when to re-engage and when to back off?
You go ahead.
Okay. Sorry.
It's okay.
A lot of it is going to be like positioning. Like a lot of tanking is like positioning. So if you have the better like positioning than the enemy team, then like the enemy team's tank, and you can get to their backline pretty quickly, then you're going to be able to engage them a lot easier. It's a lot of it is kind of hard to say because it's situational. Because tanking is like it's like a game of chicken almost. With the enemy team's tank, it's like who's going to get the better positioning, who's going to step out too far and open up their backline. Those are the things you have to look for as a tank.
So let's give a scenario. Let's give an example.
I was gonna talk about a good scenario that
Go ahead.
you generally see in HGC. So when you're thinking of like BOE, if one team is playing defensive, they want to poke from their side of the Immortal. But your team is all about engaging, blowing up one target. So let's say red team on the right, they draft ETC, Li Ming, Mouth. That's like that. You want to focus one target off a power slide with Root. So you want to be focusing one target with the red team. And blue team's more defensive, like, I don't know, Garrosh, maybe Jaina, the Hanzo, I don't know like what they have, but they want to play more defensive. So red team with the ETC comp, they want to focus one target. They slide in on their Immortal on the blue side, which is the left side. They slide in, they use their spells. They don't get the kill on Garrosh. So that means everyone has to retreat. Maybe ETC will take some damage because he just used his one mobility spell to engage, and they don't get the kill. ETC might be taking a lot of damage. He might even die for it, depending if the Garrosh can punish him. But let's say ETC gets out alive, but he takes a lot of damage from, the enemy Jaina and Hanzo, and he's running away. So, like, that's when, that's a common thing. Like, you use all your cooldowns from the red side, and you don't want to keep fighting because you're based on your, like, cooldowns to be up to fight. So you want to retreat, wait for your cooldowns, sustain up, like, heal up your ETC that took a lot of damage, while the blue side's also, like, sustaining up their Garrosh that took damage. And then you just want to just keep rinse and repeating. So that's like that's a good example of like one comp that wants to do one specific thing, which is like blow up their front line and then run away, re-engage, and then like do that rinse and repeat until you get the kill on either Garrosh, or if you catch like a back line, you could do that on them. So like that's a good example of like when to re-engage is like wait for your cooldowns, heal up, and then if people need mana, maybe you back off, you let them go tap the well, or just completely hearth and then play defensive till they're back. So I think that's a good example I can give of like when to really re-engage.
Okay. That's good. Should tanks ever solo lane in the beginning? Or should they always be with another hero?
If you're, in my opinion, if the tank is solo, if your main tank, like you drafted for them to be the main tank with your 4-man or whatever map, there's something in my eye. Ow.
Don't die, Kubie.
Well, but like if your tank is solo laning, I think that there's something wrong or someone died, honestly, in the top lane.
Oh, okay.
But
So
even then, I don't think it should be your main tank going up there to catch soak.
Yeah, there's some comps where you'll never have the main, like you'll never see me solo laning ever, unless I need to catch a wave like what Kubie said. Like I need my top lane died, I need to run up there and get the experience that he's missing. So that's the only time you'll ever see me up there. But like you might see like other heroes, like you might see ETC or Tyrael, which are usually your main tanks in the off lane because maybe you value having a synced plus whatever main tank I'm on. So you might value both of those ults that you're going to provide, or like you might need a global, so you might need ETC in the off lane to stage dive with your main tank. So you might have like those two main tank characters you see commonly on like my tank role in an off lane, played by the off laner. So you might see that.
Is an off lane either top or bottom lane? Like what is considered an off lane?
It depends what map. So like Dragonshire, you have top lane for your off lane. Tomb is bottom.
So why are those considered off lanes? Are those the lanes that are like so I know on Tomb of the Spider Queen the top and the mid lanes are closer to each other and the bottom lanes further away? Mm-hmm. Is that why you consider it an off lane?
Yeah, generally
yes.
You put your off laners on an island, so you kind of look at the map and which one is the farthest away from everyone.
And that should be the lane where, the solo laner should go. Like a Sonya or okay.
Also, if they have a mercenary that pushes with their lane, so like Tomb, you have the sieges on bottom, like that's good for the solo laner to push. And then on Dragonshire and Shrines, you have the Knight Camp or the Shaman Camp that you can just let some solo laners who are like Sonya, Maltheo can just once they clear their wave, they can start doing that camp by themselves. And then if they need help, one person can go help them out. But generally, some solo laners are good at doing those camps on the side that are on their side of the map.
Okay.
And those camps will apply pressure in their lane. If the top lane is winning, then that provides their team a lot more pressure to pushing their lane and then pushing the structures and overall gaining your team more experience because your solo laner got the camp and maybe their solo laner couldn't.
Okay. Yeah, see, I never knew that terminology as in I never really thought of using the term off lane as a not a pro player, just as a casual player. So, I mean, it all makes sense now, obviously. So how do you go ahead, Kubie?
Just one more thing to add to that too. You can determine the solo lane too by which lane is hardest to rotate to. So for Tomb of the Spider Queen, you can go straight from mid to top. There's no obstruction from the terrain or anything like that. With those two lanes, for the bottom lane, you have to go over and around the middle part and that. To me, that would be why that would be designated the solo lane as in addition to what Fury said.
Yeah, I think the only weird map where you don't really know which lane is the off lane is Cursed Hollow, because on blue side, on the left side, on Cursed Hollow, your ogres are going to be on the top side, and generally you have your range carry go kill those a Genji or Hanzo or Phoenix. You have those heroes going to go. You have that hero going to go do the siege camp, and for them to do that, they have to be on the top side. So on the blue side, you want your solo lane probably to be on the bottom, and then on the red side, their ogres is going to be pushing the bot lane. So that's where it depends what hero your off lane is too. So if you have a Dahaka, you want to put him in the lane where the tribute's not going to spawn. So if the tribute's going to spawn top side for the red side, if your Dahaka's on the red side, tribute's spawning top, you want to put your Dahaka bottom pushing with those ogres that your team got. So Cursed Hollow is a little weird one. It could be either top or bottom. It really depends what lane you need to put your offlaner in that's opposite of the tribute, because it could spawn either top or bottom.
Okay, I'm gonna do something real quick. I'm gonna start the giveaway. Fury has how much of a Battle.net gift card? $20 Battle.net gift card to give away. So I'm gonna start the giveaway right now, and as the rest of the show proceeds, you guys can enter the giveaway, and then we'll draw a winner at the end of the show. So go ahead, do !ticket. And then 1, I believe, because you can only do 1, I believe. Wait, hold on. I don't want to enter. Wait, let me see if NupTup entered. Yeah, you guys are entering. Okay, so do !ticket. Yeah, I don't think you have to put the 1 after. Oh, I know you do.
So it's exclamation mark ticket space bar 1.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Not together, guys.
Yeah, so enter the giveaway. It's a $20 Battle.net gift card. You can only have 1 ticket, so don't even try to get 2. Cheeky.
Oh, you're such a troll.
Cheeky. Shot. Spacebar
I'm being
1.
very specific for people to understand.
Okay, so here's a question that I got. When to save a teammate versus just, leaving them to die? All men for themselves.
Oh, man.
As a tank.
Generally, that happens to me.
Generally, everybody just leaves you.
I'm the one that gets ditched.
I mean,
it really
when
depends.
You're the tank, you should be the last one out almost every single time. So you should usually be the one dead or being left.
There you go.
A good scenario, I guess, let's say your team is pushing their keep or something, like really deep on their side of the map, and let's say you don't kill their keep. They're all alive, they're all chasing to defend their keep, and then you're the last, the tank one-shots it. You want to be the last one out. So, like, if I'm ETC, I want to make sure I'm, face melting, like using my W to push away the enemy team while my team tries to escape. But let's say, while we're trying to escape from their keep, I push them away, but then someone on the flank, like an Arthas, just like flanks me, and I'm, I get caught with the root, and then I'm slowed. Then I'm just the sacrifice to my team. If it's pretty obvious I'm gonna die, then I generally I'm good about calling if I'm dead or help me, I can slide away. Basically. I have a good sense of when I know I'm dead. Just leave me. I always call I'm dead. Leave me. Just go, because you don't want one kill to escalate to now my support's gonna die. Oh, now that my support's gonna die, maybe my offlaner tried to bunker him. Now he's gonna die, and it just snowballs. And
then you got staggered deaths.
Yeah, you get the staggered deaths.
And we loop all the way around. Staggered deaths.
And then it's funny is in Hero League is you have your Genji player just on their side of the map, running through their forts and stuff, and he has no chance of escaping, but he's just stalling his demise, and he's just completely staggered deaths. At late game, you don't want to stagger your death. If you know you're gonna die, just die, because if you have a 50-second death timer and the objective's coming up, and within 30 seconds, now your team is 4v5 for 20 seconds while the objective's up, and you could have just died instantly, knowing if you know you can't escape, just die, because you don't want to. In pro plays, you'll see them just instantly run into the core or to keeps if they know that they're not going to make it out, because they want to die ASAP, and then they don't use any ultimates to get out. They just want to die, because generally if you have a 80-second cooldown or higher ultimate, you don't want to burn that thinking you can get away. You just
That's so sad. They just suicide into the core. What's the point?
You need to save all your stuff and just die instantly. Get ready for the next fight.
There's also a note that could be made on that is when you realize that someone is trying to suicide just to get themselves or they're running away, for instance. Say a lot of times in Hero League this happens instead of people suiciding for their death timer to be shorter. So in Hero League a lot of times people try to run the opposite direction to peel for their team, but they'll still try to escape. So they'll go in these weird directions, or they'll go into these weird crevices where they can maybe back. But a lot of times if you just follow them and make sure that they don't back, you can literally sit there until an objective spawns and then just instantly kill them and be okay, now it's 4v5, sick. We can
if you we
now have an advantage.
If you see one of the, like I said, if you see a Genji doing something stupid, trying their best to escape, but they're clearly, you can see they're not gonna make it, because they don't have the health or the mana or abilities to dash through and jump over to safety. If you see someone stuck like that on their team, they're on your side of the map, you want to make sure you stall out their death as long as possible. As harsh as that sounds, you just in competitive play, you want to do anything you can to give your team an advantage, and if you could stagger a death like that, you just take it. You keep them low health. They're forced to in pro players, you'll see they'll just run to the towers and die. But generally in Hero League, you see those people trying to live, staying low health, and you just don't want to kill them until the very last second. and then now their Genji player's dead for 50 seconds, and then the objective just spawns. Now they don't have a fifth player. So those are some interesting tricks you can do.
So when what is a tank's proper positioning in a team fight? Or what is? Sorry.
Over an objective, generally you're the one closest to their team.
Yep.
And then I don't know. I think if you're engaging, you're still in the front, and then you want to be just be on their side, making sure like you absorb any CC or damage while your team's like. I guess a good example of the map is like Infernal Shrines. Like you want to be closer to their side while your team is doing like killing the Guardians or the monkeys or whatever you want to call them. While your team is killing those, like, your Diablo's in their face, like fire stomping and like just being annoying. And then, it's generally how you want to position is just, you want to be in their face, but you don't want to be too far on their side, because if they have like Jaina or like a Tychus, just like, if they're going to just completely like get your tank really low, then that's not a good trade you want, because once your tank is low, then they have to back off. And then you have to either sustain your tank up or just you have to give the objective, because your front line can't step up anymore.
Yeah, a big part of tanking is not taking free damage, so that you still have the ability to do what your tank needs to do for your team, like healing or engaging or whatever you need to do. Okay. Taking free damage is probably one of the hardest things to learn as a tank, because you have to know what your limits are against that comp. Or even like where you need to be like at all times. It's like constantly changing, so it's a pretty high skill cap thing to learn.
Yeah. The most common tank you'll see like stepping up to take a lot of damage is like Garrosh. Like people want to step up to get a ground breaker and then try to get a flip, but then the other team has like a Jaina, Hanzo, or Phoenix, just like heroes that can sit farther range than Garrosh's groundbreaker. And they could still poke Garrosh down while he's trying to, catch someone out of position. But then if he doesn't get that catch with Groundbreaker, then he's going to take a lot of free damage. So like as a Garrosh player, you have to really know and be careful, like when you can step up and like when you can actually go for a Groundbreaker, or if you just want to sit back and wait for them to engage. And you can either flip one of their frontliners into your team or just flip them back into their back line and then just keep zoning control.
Okay, so I'm looking at some of the questions on Twitter. Kid Kerrigan says, "You're..."
Can I interrupt real quick?
What?
Can I interrupt real quick?
No, you have to go.
I need to go. I'm
All
sorry.
right. Well, thanks. Thanks for joining us, Shot.
Absolutely. I'm sorry that I was tired, team.
No, you're good.
I goofed.
How dare you be tired?
But I'm sure that Kags has a sick picture of me to meme me with this week, too.
Oh, yeah. You know it. You know it.
Yeah.
All right.
Just like, we got a good substitute for a Shot. Just like,
you can't.
I think everyone will like it.
Guys, never a perfect substitute for Shot. Shot's one of a kind.
All right, Shot. Have a good day.
Bye. Thank you. Sorry, I gotta bail, guys.
It's okay.
I'm just
Later.
gonna mute myself and turn off my camera so it doesn't screw up anything.
Shot's just gonna take a nap, guys. Don't worry.
Yep.
Wait, don't turn off your camera because it'll screw it up.
Oh, unlucky.
But you can mute yourself, and then I'll just
Okay.
put your picture over your thing. Okay?
Right.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. Bye.
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 Okay, there's Shot. That's the picture we have of Shot.
Shot's going to sleep.
That was him this morning. All right. So Kid Kerrigan says, "You're an MT like Mura, ETC, etc. You're behind in XP, and your Murky and DPS are rotating with the team, so you're missing safe waves of XP. Continue rotating with the team, praying for picks, or ignore team and go soak."
Ooh, that's pretty hard, honestly. It's if you can.
It sounds rougher with the the murky, I hear.
Yeah. It really depends. Like, do you notice that someone's really out of position? Can you rotate and get that kill and get a man advantage on the map, and then snowball it from there? Or like, are they playing safe, and is it better to go get the soap? As a tank, if you're behind, you should be looking for windows of opportunity to get the game back in your favor. Like maybe someone's doing a camp by themselves, and you're like scouting around, and you notice that. You call like 2 people over to go and snag that. Now you have the opportunity to take pretty much anything you want on the map if they try to force the fight.
Yeah, when you look for picks, you first, like, I think you want to look at your rotation, see if, if you're Garrosh, you look for maybe like their Vala or whatever, their squishy backlines just happens to walk by the bush they think is safe, but no one checks it, which is bad on their tank because they have to check those common bushes that the enemy tank can be in. But let's say like, their tank with the Vala didn't check that bush, and then the Vala checks, and then, you see the Vala running towards you to the bush, and then you yell at your team like, hey, I got Vala, and like you just toss them towards your team, and like, that's a pick for you guys. So that's really good. That's a pick you need in rotation. So if you can find stuff like that in rotations, that's good. If you can't find those, you want to look at the off lane. So let's say, the enemy team has a Malthael. Malthael generally bullies every single person in the lane if they're stepping up. So what people pick on Malthael, the level 1 talent, which is like the mount speed. So if they're not on their mount, they're really easy to gank because they don't have fear the, what is it called? That movement speed?
On a pale horse.
No, the other one, when they're Fear the Reaper.
Oh, yeah, it's Fear the Reaper.
The one that gives them movement speed when they're unmounted and they just press the button. So if they're unmounted without a pale horse, and generally Malthaels like to play aggressive, it's like some Malthaels if they're not well disciplined on getting ganked, you can go up there. If they're pushing, your side of the map and they're bullying your top laner, like you want your tank and then maybe one more damage to like just run top real quickly. And if you notice the Malthael like pushing up really aggressively, trying to bully your top lane, then that's like where you look for a pick as well. So I think the hardest hero to gank in an off lane is probably like Dahaka, mainly because once he hits level 4, he gets an insane amount of essence, and like which is his trait, and he gets to heal up a lot. So like almost like within 1 minute, Dahaka can have like a full 60 essence. It's ridiculous because he just clears one wave with a globe, and then a globe gives him 10 essence if he takes the level 1 tissue regen. So like Dahaka's like one of the hardest like solo laners to gank unless you have like a Garrosh with like a Jaina and like a lot of like CC to hold him down.
Yeah.
To make sure he can't run to his gate even with like 2 full health bars.
Dahaka's scary. I hate going against the Dahaka.
Yeah, good Dahaka players, like they're pretty smart. Like if you watch Goku ever play Dahaka, and I think Glaurung's been a lot better on Dahaka. I think that's his best solo laner right now is Dahaka. Like a good Dahaka, they generally don't get ganked. And if they ever do get ganked, it's on their side of the map, and they have the essence to escape. They just press their essence, and that much life will be enough for them to run to their gate and be safe.
Okay, we have another question. Can you go over some good tank healer draft synergies and some bad combinations? Also, good tanks to draft versus a heavy dive comp. So, good tank healer draft synergies.
Stitch's Malfurion is a classic one.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Malfurion's kit works really well with a lot of tanks because a lot of them are hard CC. So like Malfurion works with ETC, with Garrosh, with Anubarak. Like he works Muradin. Like he works with pretty much every tank that has hard CC. Yeah.
That's why you see Malfurion's like first pick pretty much every game right now. And if you watch MSB, like he's really highly contested. Yeah, just because he does like almost everything a support should be doing. Yeah.
Okay.
But
go ahead.
In terms of a bad synergy with supports, I think like one of the worst and annoying ones is like if you have Diablo and then like Ariel. Maybe
I would say that's specifically healers, right? I would say like anything that counters anybody, like ETC's Mosh, and like I know this isn't a healer, but like Thrall and you take his sunder, that's like anti-synergy.
ETC, Oh, I just thought of something. I'd be so tilted if I like got a sick mosh as an ETC and my Decker just like threw down a Lornado and pushed them out of it.
Yeah.
Oh no!
Yeah.
That would
But
be very
on the
tilting.
flip side, though, Deckard can have good synergy with that. With stay a while and listen.
Yeah. So I think what I was trying to say is probably like, I don't know, having displacement like Diablo, like if you wall charge someone and you overpower, then like your Ariel player has to be really precise on like where the enemy is going to be. So she has to position like at a different angle to get her wall stun. And generally, I think with the Ariel whip, it's best used like, it's obviously really good in chokes, but you mainly want to use it to peel. Like you want to be wall stunning and like pushing away like their enemy, like ETC or Diablo or whatever. Like you want to be using it to peel for your back line. But like you could like, set up with your tank, like you can, slide in or whatever, like stun is Muradin, then like your Ariel just has to be really close to like position to where her whip will angle it so they hit the wall and get stunned. It's like, it can be done, but it's like a little bit like, I guess you have to be more prepared to follow up that CC compared to like Malfurion. You could just root on top of, the target that ETC slides, or like Stukov combo. You just put your W on them and then you throw your silence and then you use your passive and then they're just slowed in your silence. And that's another good combo you can do with your support.
I think a lot of the supports have really good synergy with a lot of the tanks, just because their base kits are usually meant to also like do some form of CC follow up. Like Deckard is pretty good with it if you can like Garrosh Deckard throwing someone into the scroll of ceiling, like that's pretty nasty.
Yeah, you just have to have a lot of communication with tank and support. That's like probably the most important synergy you need, since there's so much potential you can have with those two roles on impacting like getting a pick or like just winning a team fight.
Yeah.
And like I've seen like a strong support and a tank, like what they can do. Like I remember there was like one game on my last team GFE where we were behind on Dragonshire and Akka faces on Stukov, and I don't remember what tank I was playing, but I followed up and like Stukov got a really nasty like 2-man W-E combo with the root at 13, and he got 2 people in his silence, and I managed to like stun them on top of it, and like just like him calling out what he was doing, like I was able to follow up and our damage was able to follow it up. So like just having those two like on synergy, like CC chaining someone in a silence is like destructive.
You really have to act fast as a tank too.
Mm-hmm.
And especially on like Johanna, if there's a Johanna, or if there's an ETC on the enemy team, and he goes Mosh, I'll specifically take shield, whatever her shield talent is at 10. What is it called?
Blessed Shield.
Blessed Shield.
Blessed Shield.
Yeah, I'll specifically take that and stay far away and just watch the ETC like a hawk so that I can... Even her W displaces it, but I don't know if you can use W without getting caught in Mosh.
If you D before it, yeah. You just D and walk into it.
A lot of rookie mistakes ETC players make is they slide in and they mosh before they see Condemn out, because when you see, as a Johanna player, when you see ETC sliding in, you can just press your W, and if he's channeling his mosh pit as he slides, Johanna will always get the interrupt. It'll put it on a 10-second, but that's like better than getting moshed.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you time your Condemn the same time you see ETC slide, like if they're casting their mosh after that slide, it's gonna always get interrupted. So like I see a lot of ETC players make the mistake of like just ripping the mosh before they see Johanna using her Condemn. Yeah, especially if she has her passive too, because she could just press passive and Condemn, and then if he doesn't press mosh that second, you still have Blessed Shield to interrupt.
I'm pretty sure Johanna's range on her W2, you could just walk into the mosh pit and while you're, as you're pressing it, and then go off and interrupt him.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it does have the range to barely clip him, interrupt. Okay. Yeah, Johanna's really good against ETC.
Mesa has another question. Because of the 2-player element, what other factors do you have to take into account when your team decides to Cho'Gall? Other than the fact that other than the fact if you die, it's a 2-player death, how should assassins / off tanks support him, and how can he be used most effectively? At what health do you disengage?
In my opinion, Cho'Gall is a bruiser in the way that he plays. If you draft him as a main tank, it's kind of scary because you don't have a lot of control in the front line that you normally would. Unless the Cho'Gall pick just massively outdrafted them and they can't even walk up to you without taking a lot of damage. Generally with Cho'Gall, you want to see a main tank with him for that support and that damage follow-up, because it is a bruiser and a damage dealer in Cho'Gall, so he still needs the same support that any other hero would, in my opinion.
Yeah, you need some CC to make up for what Cho'Gall, that's 2 heroes that don't have CC, and until 10, Cho has the hammer to peel a little bit, but it's not that good at peeling it. You can peel some melee, but the pole is good if you go upheaval on Cho is pretty good engage. So that's the only CC you'll have on Cho'Gall. Gall's, I think his twisting nether slows if you learn it. So that's the only CC Cho'Gall provides. So you definitely want to have, if you're gonna have an offlaner like Blaze, or I think Blaze is the only offlane that could work with a Cho'Gall main tank, because Blaze will provide a stun plus slows with his oil. Mm-hmm. But generally you want to have a main tank like ETC or just Murden, your regular stun tanks. So when you stun something, or if you get a big mosh, then Cho'Gall damage can just follow up on top of it, either with Shattable Volley or the Twisting Nether. And then the Cho does pretty decent AoE damage because you throw the Rune Bomb on top of him and it does a lot of damage.
Okay. So don't forget, guys, there's a giveaway going on right now for a $20 Battle.net gift card, thanks to Fury. So if you want to enter, do ! ticket, and that will enter you in the giveaway. Also, is it time to talk about ERL?
I guess so.
I suppose we can.
There we go.
Yes, I feel this was one of the most... Oh, shit. This was one of the most requested... where did that come from? Go away. This is one of the most requested topics for tanks this week after she came out. So let's not flame ERL, Chrissy, because I don't know, people in chat. Let's not use that term, because you don't know who's watching the stream. Okay, so I don't really want to talk bad about her. We want to talk about why she's either not viable or she is viable. So take it away, Kubie. Or Kubie and Fury, whatever, who goes. One of you.
You want
to start? All right, go for it, man.
Urel's kit, first of all, these are my 2 major issues with her. One, every one of her abilities is channeled, which is very bad, because there's a lot of CC
there we go.
in a lot of the meta picks, and she just gets constantly interrupted, which is awful. And then on top of that, her abilities being channeled also slow her, which makes it really hard for her to actually engage on those targets if they have any sort of mobility, because they can just outrange. And it's looking at her, there would never be a time that I would want to draft her over another tank, simply because just from looking at her base kit, it's too it depends too much on whether your enemy team is playing well or not to constantly interrupt the URL and make her basically useless.
See, for me, I feel in high silver, low gold, I get a lot of good use out of ERL by not letting my teammates die. So I understand that she's really countered in the high rankings, but in low rankings, she if you can prevent your teammates from freaking dying, then you can win the game in low ranks. And I feel that's kind of what ERL does, because she has that burst heal, she has that displacement, she has you can chase down a hero with her E. So I feel in lower ranks she's good. But I guess from your guys' perspective as, competitive and stuff, she's not really that up to scale.
Yeah, I guess if I give my words, where to begin? I guess what I first want to say, like I've played probably around 30 games of URL. That's including probably more, honestly. I played a lot, like 10 PTR games. I played her in scrims, and then I've been playing her in quick match when she came live. So, and a few more on live scrims. So I put in a good amount of games to really understand the hero and trying to like make it work. Like she's like a main tank, so like I was really happy. Like anytime a main tank comes out, honestly any hero, I like whenever a hero comes out, I want to like play it just to like understand its limits and its weaknesses. And I noticed she has a lot of weaknesses. I would first say like she's a lot of fun. I have a lot of fun playing her in quick match. I hate playing her in scrims though because the other teams, like the other tanks, know how to really deal with her.
Yeah.
So it's not as fun. But like I like her kit. Like it's really fun to play. And in quick match, like I get away with a lot of things I shouldn't be getting away with, and people don't really know how to punish her well. But so yeah, her kit's really like she's a fun hero, and I like the idea of with all her abilities and like her strongest like assets is she has a lot of good self-sustain. And both of her ultimates benefit herself on survival. It just depends which one do you think you'll get more value on. I guess starting with my complaints about her or like the things I don't like with Urel is, you know, what Kubie said is you have to channel all 3 basic abilities. And I know her passive, you're allowed to get 1 free cast, but after playing it so much, generally, like, you know, if you're getting ganked, you want to use your free casts for Avenging Wrath, which is her wings, and you jump away. So you want to you only want to use your passive for that. If you need to peel instantly, you can use the passive trait to get an instant hammer stun and knock them away. But generally in team fights, I will always want to use my passive to get an instant Q off, which is like my build, I base it off a Q at level 1 and 13, which the 13 gives it 30% damage reduction on the heroes I hit. And I want to make sure, and it heals Urel herself for how many heroes she hits. So I always want to be using your passive to heal and reducing damage. Like all the other abilities, like the W, it's really rare to get a full cast off because the movement speed really hurts her as being the front line. But
see, that's where I get that instead of the mount speed, I usually just get her movement speed talent.
Yeah, I'll go into talent in a bit, but like her kit, I don't know, like when you don't trait her W, you just always want to double tap just to instantly like push him back a little bit because in a team fight it's really hard to like channel a full ability, especially if like even like a knockback is annoying enough because you like while you're channeling your movement speed's reduced too much to where everyone they can be off their mounts and they're gonna outrange all your abilities. Even Avenging Wrath is like it has okay range, but it doesn't have the best range. Like Murden's, I think Murden's Dwarf Toss has a little bit more range. If not, it's probably equal. Like
I think it
how
does.
far you can jump.
So I usually compare her channeling to Johanna's W, but Johanna's W is automatic.
Instant.
Like it's instant. But so I feel like if they just reduce the channeling time on Urel, that would be a lot better because I feel like her channeling time is just so long that she can't and because you have to react so fast as a tank, that doesn't really do well for her because she can't react fast unless she has her trait up.
Yeah, the reward, it doesn't feel as rewarding to get a full cast on most of her abilities. It's like you get a little bit of reward with like more healing, more damage with your Q. Your W does a little more damage and it stuns at the end of the channel. And then your Avenging Wrath, if you full channel, it does the same damage. I'm pretty sure it's just you get more range at your full channel, which the range is not that, like it's as much as a Dwarf Toss, if not a little bit less. I haven't really compared, but like the fact how slow, like it's kind of a slow animation too. By the time you fully channel, they might be already running out of your range unless they're like slowed. Because like by the time you channel your Avenging Wrath, like they might have already ran away out of the range.
In my opinion, with her with her basic abilities, I would want to see at least one of the abilities not have a channel time. And I would want to see like a slight buff to Avenging Wrath's range, because if they're gonna make it so that she can't catch up to anyone while she's channeling, at least give her like, I don't know, make it a little bit more range to be like slightly more forgiving. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just her kit feels very not, like Fury said, it doesn't feel rewarding to channel any of the abilities max.
Yeah. It's like I think the only one I'm really happy of fully channeling if I don't have my trait is the Q.
Yeah.
Because the Q heals you quite a lot if you hit multiple targets, and then it reduces the enemy damage at 13. So that's the only one that feels rewarding. Like the stun and knockback is good, but like the cone is really small. You only hit like the melee with it or like the tank, because you have reduced movement speed while you're channeling, and like anyone could, like in any of the range, when they see you lifting the hammer, like they know what's coming. Like by the time you get a full channel, they're going to be way out of your range, unless like they're CC'd or slowed by someone else on your team. But like you don't want to depend on your main tank for other people to like set you up.
Yeah.
You want to be setting up your team for those like catches.
Her E definitely feels weird. It's really cool, and I love like how it does damage, but like it feels like when I first started playing Irel, like I thought that I had my quick cast settings off. And I was like, what the hell? Why am I not doing anything? And I'm just like, how does this work? Why do I have to keep like clicking? I can't auto attack while I'm channeling. What's happening? And then I finally understood how she was being played. But the E, even with the trait active, her E just feels weird. It's like Fury said, it's a slow animation, and the range isn't that good, even on the upgrade.
No.
Like, and I feel like I always, even if I get that full range, I'm still falling short. Like, I feel like literally that like I started leaping and someone just grabbed my feet down and just pulled me, and then I just fall. Like, I feel it just feels so not its potential.
Yeah. So I think for some ideas for Blizzard, if any of them are watching, if we went the route of making one of the abilities not channeled, I think Avenging Wrath would be the best bet. So players have to choose to trait her Q or W, meaning like you either want to sustain yourself or mitigate damage, or you want to use your trait to use your slam to like peel really like heavily. Because like if you don't trait the W and you like you double click the W, it doesn't knock them back that far at all. And it's really hard to get a full channel, and like people will avoid it. Like I think the only time you can get a full channel, and you'll actually, if you ever do like not get interrupted, is you're gonna only hit the front line with it, which is fine. Like that's fine to peel the tank with it, but it's like you'll pretty much never be able to cast that on their support or their backline, which are probably better targets to hit, because if you trait the W, like if you Avenging Wrath in them and then you trait the W on them, you'll always hit them, because it's instant cast, and then the range is pretty good.
See what? Go ahead.
Like you want to you'll mitigate damage by knocking away their damage from your team. Like that's a different style you can play if you're using your trait to use on the W.
See what I usually do, like in low silver or high silver, low gold. What I usually do is I usually use my E to get in front of one of the, like a Jaina, who doesn't really have an escape. I usually get my E to get in front of the Jaina and then knock her back into my team so we can just get a pick on her. I don't necessarily use Irel as like a main tank. And
She's definitely a bruiser.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
I think she's the main tank.
Oh no!
She doesn't have the. I don't think she has the wave. Like her wave clear's okay, but you have to cast every single ability, and even if you like, let's say at level 1, I've tested it in try mode. If you fully channel all your abilities on the minion wave, they're still left with one auto each. So you have to auto every single backline at least once after you cast all your abilities. Like I don't really see her working as like an off-lane bruiser that well. Like her auto damage is pretty good right now with that buff that they laid out. So that was pretty decent for auto damage, but I don't think it's enough for her to be like a bruiser. I think she's fit to be a main tank. It's just the whole. Go ahead.
I see her more of like almost, I don't know. Like when I say bruiser, I mean something like a utility bruiser, like Zarya sort of thing. Not like the damage obviously that Zarya provides, but like more of like the utility of being a meat shield, because both of her heroics only affect her. So if she's able to just sit in the enemy's face and soak damage, I think that's where she shines as like what her kit is supposed to do. But I don't think that in its current iteration, her kit gives her enough to be a main tank, as far as control over the enemy team or peeling.
Yeah,
because of the channel times.
The thing I really do like about her overall is her talents. Her talents actually are pretty good for a tank. And like me looking at it as a main tank, I think her talents are pretty good. I think if you had to compare her to any other tank, I'd say she's closest to probably Tyrael. But the biggest thing she's lacking is her ultimates. Meaning, like, you know, Kubie said they both benefit only Yrel. But I was wishing, like, at least one of, as a main tank, you want one of your ults to, like, either benefit your team or, like, to do, like, something, like, to playmate for your team. Like, you know, like, ETC has a mosh pit. Like, that's a huge playmaking for your team that can, like, just really turn the fight. And then you have, like, Tyrael for Sancт. That benefits your team, like, the whole team. That if you cast that and you get it off, like, that's, like, game-changing for your team. That benefits your whole team. But with Yrel, you have the absorb. You know, you can absorb, like, a KT burst or, like, Jaina damage. And, like, that's good for Yrel herself, is to mitigate all that damage. But, like, that doesn't do anything for her team. Both of her ults benefit only herself. Like, the Sacred Ground is 40 armor only for herself if she's in the circle. And I was kind of hoping, like, as a main tank, one of those ults would benefit my team. Besides, like, just your stuff, I wish they could benefit the whole team. And, like, I don't know, having some sort of, like, engage ult that has CC, like a mosh pit, or, like, you know, like something that could save my team, like a Sanct, would have been nice for a main tank. So, but, like, the closest thing I have to that, to helping my team and, like, you know, filling that tank role, is, like, her level 4 talents really support her team. You've got Hand of Freedom, which removes snares and slows from a teammate if you pick that. But the better talent people have been taking, which I think is probably better, is the Gift of the Naru, which whenever you use your passive, it'll heal the lowest target on your team by quite a decent amount.
Yeah, I love that talent.
So she has pretty decent healing, which, you know, it fits her lore pretty well, which is what I love. Like, you know, Blizzard did a really good job with this character and, like, her kit and everything. It's just her like, she has a lot of weaknesses, like, as if she was meant to be a main tank. Like, I know when they first revealed her, they said she would be a bruiser, but I honestly still feel like she should fit best in a main tank position. And I don't know, like, her talents are really good, like I said, but just, like, her movement speed reduction and, like, having to channel every single basic ability really cripples her. Because let's give an example. What if ETC had to channel his power slide to engage?
He would always be countered.
Like, that's really, like, you can easily counter. Like, you see ETC making some I don't know, like, doing some animation, and like, oh, and the enemy team's like, oh, he's channeling his power slide. Let's get away from him. But no, like, instead, like, his is, like, instant cast, and, like, Murden Stormbolt, yeah, it's, like, a harder one to hit than, like, a power slide. But, like, what if Murden had to channel his Stormbolt, and, like, the longer he channeled, you know, the more range it would get. And if he, like, instant cast it without channeling, it's, like, a really short range, so you're only gonna hit, like, melee with it. But, like, yeah, like, Murden, you don't have to channel your dwarf jump. It's just instant. Yeah, you can get interrupted, which is fine for those jumps. But, like, instant casting, like, your initiations and stuff like that. Oh, my screen is going black. I didn't move the mouse. That was weird. But so yeah, I feel like comparing Yrel to those other main tanks that have instant, like, cast abilities, like, yeah, most of they can get, like, outplayed. Like, if you see like an ETC slide, the common thing back then, like, when you're playing Lucio or when Lucio was more drafted, if you see ETC slide, you just boop them away, and, like, that's how you counterplay the power slide. you're either outranging him or you're going to use some other like CC to like push him back or like stun him so he doesn't get the slide off. But with Urel, like every time, unless you're trading using her trait to like stun with her W, you telegraph everything you're doing while channeling. Like, oh, her wings are glowing, she's about to jump. And you can't cancel that jump. You have to cast it no matter what.
Yeah, you can't cancel any of her charges.
You can't cancel anything. Like, no matter what ability you press, like I've tried to sitting in a bush. Like when I gank someone as Urel, like I tried in scrims, I always channel the Avenging Wrath in the bush so they don't see me. But the thing is like when trying to run to them in the lane, unless they're really far up on your side of the map, they can if they have any sort of CC or like movement speed enhancement, they just walk away because you have reduced movement speed while channeling any of your abilities. So trying to gank with Urel is pretty difficult. I think the only best chance you have with Urel is at level 7. Once you get Divine Steed, you unmount and then you start walking to them, and then once they're like in the middle of the lane, you mount up because you get you insta mount with the Divine Steed, and you get a bonus movement speed in your mount. And as long as you don't get hit by the towers on their side, you can instantly get behind them without like using any abilities. And then you get behind them, then you trait your W to stun, and then you start channeling your Avenging Wrath to slow them after the stun. Like that's the best way you're gonna ever be able to gank as Urel. And it's like, it's very complex to.
It's very risky too.
Well, like I just don't like that how complex and it is to like do what other tanks can do easily.
Yeah.
Like all the other tanks with CC can just instantly cast their abilities, and like just her having to channel every ability besides one with her passive, and then like. Can
her upgrade to her heal? What's it called? You convert damage to health. That ult.
Her ult?
Isn't the 20 upgrade to that? Doesn't that heal in like an area, like an AOE? But I mean, that's if you like hit 20. So
yeah. Generally, when you look at 20 talents like that, you don't want to draft a hero and like, all right, guys, we're playing for level 20.
Yeah.
I mean, it's early game, mid game, and then late game is like when you call late game, that's like level 18 and like 20. Like that's like what you consider late game, and you don't ever want to play a map for late game because generally like early mid games, if your comp is not that strong, those two phases, like then the other team's going to be getting the objectives back to back, and you're going to have to just play from the back foot until level 20. Like I know some teams used to draft Nazebo on like Tomb and just say like, I think Tomb is the only map you could play late game. It's like a little bit easier. Mm-hmm. And like with Nazebo, you want to wait, obviously get him stacked, get him 175 stacks, play for level 20. Once he's 20, all right, so you have no keeps down, so you're in a good spot for Nazebo at level 20. So now Nazebo's going to be doing a ton of damage with his level 20 talent. But like when you look at 20 talents, you never want to like sit in a draft like, all right, guys, we're playing for level 20. Yeah. Generally, like especially like high level play, like if you show that like your comp like is just like it's really bad early mid game, then like the other team will like look to force objectives really hard and push really hard and like just get a huge advantage. You don't even get level 20 by the time the game's over if the enemy team like notices you're drafting a late game comp.
Yeah, even her Bubble Hearth, like you can't cancel her Bubble Hearth. Like I went into like I accidentally hit Bubble Hearth, and I was like
you can interrupt it.
No, you can't like stop it. And I'm like, all right, guys.
There's a 1 second channel time, and then it goes off.
Oh, you can?
Yes, there's a 1 second animation, and then the bubble goes around her. So
once the bubble goes around her, you can't cancel it though.
Yeah, correct. No. Unless you're Garrosh and can ally throw him. Apparently that works. I
accidentally hit it, and like it was during like a big team fight, and I'm like, okay, well,
oops.
All right, bye guys. Sorry, your tank is gone for a good how many ever seconds it takes me to get back.
I like her talent. It's pretty funny. It's nostalgia to all the WoW players who used to play paladins, and like even if you didn't play a paladin, you watch a paladin do that, like. You know, and when you're raiding with like a paladin back in the day, that like instead of like gold was like really scarce back then. You didn't want to like die and repair like your armor because that costs a decent amount of gold. So what paladins would do if you wipe on a raid, you bubble hearth, and then you get out for free once you know like the raid is like wiping, and then you'd have to summon them back with a warlock. So like that's where the whole bubble heart thing comes back, and I'm pretty. It's awesome to see like that Blizzard brought that ability into the game.
What were you gonna say, Kubie?
If, like, as far as her ultimates, I would like to see like the playmaking ult like for her team be in Sacred Ground. Something that I was thinking of is maybe combining it with something with the CC reduction on Wrath of the Berserker, with giving them a portion of the armor, and just make it so that she works really well with like melee oriented comps, where you just want to go in and dive and kill them.
Yeah, I think if they were to allow the Sacred Ground benefit your teammates, they cannot get 40 armor as well. That would be way too busted.
It'd be like 20 or something like that.
And I think still keep it where if your L is knocked out, then it's gone. Maybe up the cooldown a bit if it's going to benefit your whole team in any way, because I think high impact ults like that should not be a low cooldown. Because like, what if we had Sync at 50-second cooldown? That would be insane.
That'd be insane.
So I think out of both ults, I agree with you. I think Sacred Ground should benefit your team in a way. I'm not sure the exact numbers or what. Like maybe reduce the armor to like 20 or 25, and like that maybe that benefits your team in a way. And like once they're out of it, they don't get the armor, but like it only goes away once your L is knocked out of it or runs out of the armor. Like I wish you had something to like benefit your team in a way, because I feel like every tank
that's a staple of a tank.
Yeah, it is pretty much like when you look at a tank, they need something like that to like. It is nice for her to have like these high like ults for herself only, because like if they have burst like that they're trying to burst, you go the Ardent Defender, you absorb all the damage. That's good. Like that means you can still sit on their back line and try to like mess with them while you take no damage for 3 seconds and you get healed up. And then the other one's good if you're just sitting on a point. The Sacred Ground's good if you're playing on shrines. It's perfect. You just put it in the middle of the shrines and like they have to knock you out of it. If not, you're going to be sitting there with 40 armor for a long time. And what you can do is, once you place it down, the cooldown for Sacred Ground starts like going off already. So even though it's on the ground, like your cooldown's coming back. So if you get to the objective early with Sacred Ground, you can just place it down wherever you think you're gonna like try and control, and then you just want to sit around that area that you have Sacred Ground, and then if they manage to knock you off, or if you need to like chase them out of the shrine, then you'll have Sacred Ground up either within like 10 seconds or it's already up. It's just you want to have a good placement for the Sacred Grounds, and then obviously you want to make sure they don't have like a Garrosh or something that can just toss you out of it instantly.
Yeah. Oh, poor Irel. I love her so much. I just want her to be good.
It's just there's just too many, even just like the tanks, like there's too many counters to what she's trying to do.
Yeah.
And like it doesn't feel as rewarding, like I said, whenever you do get a full cast. Like it's okay.
Yeah.
But like it's like things that other tanks can already do with instant casting their abilities. As long as they hit them, like they already felt rewarded, like for landing a huge power slide or like a storm bolt. Just I'm sure like there's been a lot of Reddit threads, and Blizzard, I know they care about the community and they read up on a lot of stuff, like negative or positive. I'm sure they read them all, and then I'm sure that right now they're thinking of ways to fix CRL or like make her not like, I don't know, not the word useless, but like just underwhelming, I guess, compared to the other tanks in the meta.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure they'll figure something out. They do a pretty good job with balancing the tanks, at least. Because right now there's a huge tank pool, but sadly, I think right now in her state currently, she's at like the bottom of the tank pool.
That's
I'm
so
sorry.
sad.
I know. I like I said, I love playing her in quick match. She's so much fun, and her kit's fun. Like it's just in pro play. We're not gonna play her probably.
Yeah.
It's rare. Like. Well, like I want to try and make it like in scrims. I'll say like, hey, maybe we could try URL here. Let's see how it goes. And then, at the end of the day, we go like 0-4 with URL for the scrim. So okay, guys, I don't think this hero's gonna work right now. Let's go back to ETC, Garrosh, Muradin. They all do a better job. Sorry, Blizzard.
All right, guys, so we're going to run the giveaway. If you haven't entered, please do so by doing !ticket in the chat. Fury has graciously provided us with a $20 BattleNet gift card. If you win, I would say, can you DM them on Twitch?
Yeah, I'll DM them on Twitch, the code.
The code, yeah. Fury will DM you on Twitch, the code, and...
I'll do it after the stream, so
yeah.
Don't disrupt.
And if anybody has any last-minute questions for either Kubie or Fury, now's the time to ask. We have a little bit left in the show, so if you guys are really interested in a certain tank or a certain way to play a tank, now's the time to ask. If you guys would like.
Guys, I have 4 years of knowledge on tanks, so feel free to ask anything.
Yeah, and Kubie's a coach, so I'm pretty sure with both of them they could give you the best answer possible.
Yeah, now's the time to ask both of us about any tanks, any heroes specifically, when to draft a hero, just anything. How to counter this hero.
Yeah, I think we kind of touched on everything, but okay, if you guys haven't entered the giveaway, do it now. I'm going to close the giveaway in 5 seconds. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Any thoughts on a noob making a comeback with Cocoon? All right, hold on. Let me draw a winner before you guys answer that. Okay, I'm gonna draw an inner. I'm gonna draw a winner in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The winner is Sun is me. Sun, you won the $20 gift card. Are you here? Please let me know if you're in chat. And then Fury will, yay, Sun won.
Yay.
Yay.
Congratulations.
All right, so.
I'll keep a whisper box open for him.
Yeah. Okay, so thoughts on a noob making a comeback with Cocoon?
I think it's still around, honestly. Like, Anubrex, he's like a niche pick, but he's not he's not terrible. I think right now they actually kind of buffed him in a way of like his tankiness, because they took away his spell armor baseline and they put it on his W, which is like the shield. So if you press the shield, like if you time it well, like you see a leaming orb coming to you, you just press your W and you absorb all the damage pretty much, because you get like 40 spell armor with the shield, and on top of that you get the
they buffed his health pool too, didn't they?
Yeah. So while they took away the base spell armor from him, they gave him more health, which will overall benefit in the long, like in any comp, because now like his weakness was high auto attackers like Greymane would just and like Tracer would shred through Anubrax's health. But now that he gained some more health overall, like it's gonna help him like against those heroes as well. So I think what I like a lot about Anub is like his engage range with his his burrow is really good to like gank someone or like to get on the back line. Like let's say like there's Stukov is channeling the silence on the ground. You just come from the side and then you burrow charge on top of a Stukov, and that's a free interrupt. And most tanks, like, unless you're Muradin or a noob, it's kind of hard to actually interrupt the Stukov from channeling. Or, like, even getting on the back line. But, yeah, Cocoon, it's always been the pick. Way back in the day, it was Locust when Cocoon didn't do that much. But Locust has taken, like, it's been, like, nerfed in 3 patches. The damage and healing has kept going down, and to the point where just Cocoon has been getting more value. There are ways you can counter Cocoon. Like the most common thing is you see Leaming with Disintegrate. You instantly break your the target out of Cocoon. So
any hero with rapid damage.
Yeah,
I interrupted one of the Nubrex Cocoon with teleport damage.
So
I felt so cool. I was like, I interrupted it.
If you're watching MSB, if you watch Mene, he is a god. He linked like 3 Cocoons, because generally like like the team has Disintegrate. All right, now the Nubrek has to look at the Leaming to try and Cocoon Leaming. And this is, if the Leaming's aware of this, you just watch where the noob is, and once he's like, the animation got nerfed too, and it's really slow missile speed. Once you see the Cocoon coming to you, you can just blink, and if you time it right, I think the cocoon goes on 10 second. I'm not sure. I don't remember if it eats the full cooldown of 60 seconds or if it goes on a 10-second. But the fact that cocoon isn't being like you get no value from it is really good. So like a really good Lee Min can counter a Nubarak. Like I think that's just the hardest counter to cocoon. So, but yeah, I think a Nubarak in general is just maybe he's a little bit harder to play compared to like Muradin, Garrosh, and ETC Diablo. Because like once you engage in, you have to like use your impale to either set up the kill that you burrow on, or to peel. If you don't get the right engage with your burrow, you need to run away because he still kind of is squishy, but he's a little bit tankier than before.
That like balance of whether to E in or to use it as an escape is also very hard to judge.
Yeah, that's the same with Muradin's Dwarf Toss, too. Generally, you don't really want to engage with a Dwarf Toss unless you know you can get a pick. And same with a Nubarak's Burrow. Like, if you know you can have enough CC just to, like, destroy the enemy team's backline, go for it. But if you're not... If you're just going in just to go in and stun and not have any follow-up, I would say use it as an escape.
Yeah, like I said, good example is if Stukov's channeling his silence.
Yeah.
Like Muradin and Nubarak are the two best tanks that can get in there and interrupt it as fast as they can.
Yeah. All right, so Broken Tangent says, with Varian, what build do you like to go?
So yeah, when you pick Varian, you generally want to pick him into like a Tracer, maybe Genji too. Phoenix he's okay into because of the shield breaker at 13. But with a build I like to go Varian, I'll talk quickly. I generally like the Q at level 1. You stack it up, it does more damage, and then once you finish the quest, it provides a really strong slow. So it's like a 50% slow for like 2.5 seconds. So if you hit it on the right target, it's pretty good. And then also more damage on the tank is never bad. And then 4 is Taunt, obviously. Don't go Wind Blades. Please don't troll your team or don't misclick. That's the worst time to misclick.
Actually, one of the games I had this week, I don't know if any of you in chat saw it, but my Varian was the last one standing, and he soloed the core with
Twin Blades.
And we were like, Twin Blades for the win! Because we were so mad at him the entire game. Because we were losing, he went Twin Blades. It was just, everybody was just like angry. And then he just wins it with Twin Blades. I was like, oh no! Don't pay attention! Don't pay attention!
So I finish off the build. 7. I like the, unless, if you're on Shrines, you take the, what is it? What's that one? Victory Rush. Victory Rush, it heals you for your next auto, and then the cooldown's reduced by like the killing minions on the enemy team. So you need to kill, I think each minion is 10 seconds off, and it's a 30-second cooldown. So, but on Shrines, the Guardians count. I am not sure if you have to get the credit, your team has to get the credit for the Guardians, but just killing 3 of them is really easy on Shrines, so I like Victory Rush on Shrines. If it's not Shrines, I go the Lionheart, which is like, I think the Q heal. So you get more healing when you hit heroes with your Q. So you get, if you hit like a couple, even just one's a lot of healing, but if you hit like 2 or 3 with your Q, you actually heal up a lot. 10, you go the shield wall if they have heavy magic damage. But if they're like, I still take it against Tracer. I generally do go shield wall. Yeah. I don't really like Wardbringer that much.
My problem with picking Warbringer is you become a target if you don't take it. Because of scaling. Like if you don't have a way to mitigate a lot of burst damage with Varian, they're just like, oh, we're just gonna kill Varian then.
Yeah. Shield wall just allows you to absorb a lot of damage with it's a 5-second cooldown with your parry. You lose 1 charge of your parry, but 5-second cooldown for a protect is actually not bad. So as long as you time it right, you'll be fine. Then you can sustain yourself up with your Q. Okay. And then 13, it's generally Ironforge Banner. If you have a lot of magic damage, if you're looking to blow up someone off your taunt combo, you can go Dalaran Banner. That's pretty good. The Stormwind Banner is not really used that much because you get more like value off the other 2 banners. 16 is Mortal Strike, banners is 16. That's right. Yeah. So 13 is Mortal Strike. Sorry.
Mortal Striker, Shieldbreaker.
They used to be flipped around. They keep moving the talents. So 13 is Mortal Strike. I like Mortal Strike because your next Heroic Strike, which is your passive, your next auto will apply a healing debuff. So that's pretty good. And yeah, with your passive, you just auto attack to get Heroic Strike back. And then you want to use that to like whoever your kill target is, you want to auto attack them at the right time. So that's 13 Heroic Strike, and then the banners is at 16. We talked about that. Then 20, I think upgrading the banner is the best because it reduces the cooldown, and also people within the banner, no matter which banner it is, you get healing increased. So that's the biggest part. And that thing is really OP with Malfurion Tranquility, especially if the Malf also upgrades his ult. Like, it's just insane healing. Nothing will die within Trank and then upgraded banner. So that's a build I like to go.
Okay, so question, what's a versatile tank to be able to play as a consistent hero you can pick for different comps and opponents in Hero League?
ETC, Muradin, Johanna. I think those are like the three that have the most versatile kits.
Yeah. I really think you can't go wrong with picking any of them, really.
Yeah, I think probably the four I think they work in, and Garrosh. Like Garrosh, ETC, and Muradin.
Garrosh is harder to play, though.
Yeah, he's a little bit harder to play. I guess if you're new to tanking and you're like, all right, I want to pick up tanks, I want to pick up warriors, I want to learn this role. ETC, Muradin, and Johanna are the three easiest ones to pick up and learn. So if you guys want to start to learn the tanking, pick up those tanks, look up on Heroes Hearth or find like a guide, like look at the talents, like which talents you should be picking. So, play those three heroes, see which one you like the best, start playing games on those heroes, learn how to how to play as a tank. And then after you learn those three heroes, those three like beginner heroes, you can start moving into like Tyrael, into Diablo, into Garrosh, which require more you need more time and discipline on those heroes because those require you need a lot of games on those heroes compared to like the other three that we listed. So if you're beginner warriors, start at the other three and look up builds and make sure. The important thing, especially for a tank, is picking the right talents. Because if you're picking wrong talents, then I don't know. There's just some talents that don't benefit the hero. Like on ETC, if you don't go the W range at level 4, it really reduces how much you can peel.
Yeah.
Because people used to take the slide over. You could slide through walls and stuff like that, which it could be good against Leoric or Tassadars if all they want to do is kill people trapped in walls. That's the only situation I'd say take it. But other than that, 99% of the games you want the loudspeaker buff or the range increase, so you can peel more easily.
I should learn how to play ETC. I really
Pretty
should.
easy. You just
it's a fun tank.
Because I love playing
power slide like
Johanna.
crazy.
I love playing Johanna, and I love peeling for my team, being no, enemy team, go away. You cannot have any of my heroes. Back
ETC
off.
is particularly annoying because you just W's your gauge and you're like, oh, okay, I guess we're not doing that.
Yeah.
You just completely stop. Once you get the level 4 range on W, you just stop anyone from engaging. Back when Greymane was more meta, he's kind of fallen off a little bit now, but you do see him sometimes. You just completely stop whatever Greymane's doing. If you see him jumping in on you or anyone else, you just press W, walk away, and you can't catch up.
Denied.
Because usually, Greymane's, when they see ETC, you have to play in human form, and you can only go in Worgen. Either once you see, if you have a D shield, that's good, but you have to wait for ETC to use his cooldowns. Otherwise, the second you jump in Worgen form and he still has his face melt, he's just gonna face melt you away, and you can't do anything. So that stops all your damage. You have to go back into range form, and that's the only way you can continue doing damage. And you don't, as Greymane, you want to always be doing as much damage. You want to auto attack as much as you can with his W.
Yeah.
So ETC is really annoying for a lot of heroes to, stop them from doing whatever they want to do.
Especially dive heroes.
Yep.
Yeah, he's particularly annoying against dive heroes.
Yeah. All right, does anybody have any last-minute questions? We have 1 minute left in the show. If you have any last-minute questions, let us know. Sun, Fury will get the code to you after the stream. And thank you, Fury, for taking the time to come
Yeah, of
and
course.
talk with us about tanks. I really appreciate it. Kubie, thank you as always for joining me. And Shot,
No
well,
problem.
Shot can keep
Shot's still
sleeping.
Not resident sleeper.
Sleeping for the next show.
If you guys want to follow Shot on Twitch and Twitter, he won Dorm in 2015? 2015, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then Kubie, coach for No Tomorrow. As you can see, all his information is there, his Twitch and Twitter. And then Fiore, you're on LFM now, right? Yes.
I don't know.
Yes, you are. No, you are. Yeah, I don't remember. You are.
I'm testing you. So
you're on
which team I'm
LFM.
on this time.
You're on LFM.
Fury was almost triggered.
I know. Well, you know what? I've been staring at that Sylvanas statue behind him this entire time. You can't see it on the screen, but I can see it on mine.
Yeah, I put in your view just so you can get jealous.
He strategically did it. So, 2016. That's what I thought too. But people corrected me. It's 2015. It's 2016. I knew it.
Okay, 16.
2016. All right. Follow Fury on Twitter and Twitch. Anything else you guys would like to say? Anything?
Well, yes, I want to shout out to you for hosting this, stream. It was a lot of fun. I like discussing, especially tanks, but I like discussing heroes in general and just giving my thoughts because I feel like I have a lot of knowledge like I can share with the community and just anyone. And yeah, shout out to Blizzard for making heroes, especially getting HGC up. Like the first 2 years was pretty rough trying to be a professional, mainly because there was like little to no money involved. I always tell people this, but like back then, every weekend you'd play for $100 prize pool. First place gets $100 for their team.
Oh, I remember that.
$20. It was the ESL Go For Cups or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's supposed to be ESL. Like every player got $20. First place gets $20. So it's like, that was like your pizza funds for the weekend or whatever you want to use it for.
Yeah.
But yeah, now like I'm really thankful. Like I believe and trust like later on Blizzard would want to like make their own type of league. So that's what we have HGC for. So now it's going 2 years strong. I'm excited, to see how Phase 2 treats LFM. I hope y'all, cheer for us, get our cool banners. Cheer for No Tomorrow as well. They seem to be doing a lot better. I'm excited to see how you guys do. We'll see each other more in scrims and then in HGC. But yeah, be sure to, everyone cheer for your favorite team, give support to both of our teams. And yeah, I'm excited to see what our team can do. I know they're not like, they weren't at the top, but I think I see really strong potential in this roster that we have. If you guys know what our roster is, I think we have pretty good potential as long as we put in the work and effort. Like I can see that they're all hungry as much as I am. So I'm really excited to see how we do in Phase 2.
I'm
this
excited.
This season's going to be really, really good.
Yeah,
I feel it.
Yeah, I think this phase will be the most competitive we'll have NA of all time. Like even I think your bottom teams will look like they're all going to be improving. Like we got DJ. I think DJ is going to be pretty solid. Like Kieran Dansky are really solid players, and I'm curious to see how their role swaps are going. But we'll see how like the final results once HGC starts. We'll see how they're doing, and then all the other rosters, like everyone's made pretty decent changes. So I'm excited to see how everyone does.
Yay! So exciting. Okay. I'm glad that I've been getting a lot of feedback on Eye of the Storm, and I'm glad that it's all been positive. I'm glad that we are able to help you guys learn more about the game. I'm glad you guys are excited about the streams. Once again, these will be uploaded to YouTube. I think I will be able to share episode 1 with you guys on YouTube tomorrow, I believe, or later tonight, depending. And then we're going to try and upload them to a podcast feed as well. So if you guys miss any episodes, they'll be there for you just to watch at your leisure. Thank you guys again for hanging out with me. Thank you to Fury and Kubie and Shot. And we'll see you next
Always a
weekend. Yeah.
One final shout out for me.
Yeah, do it.
I have to shout out to LFM because, I'm thankful that they were able to, give me tryout with like multiple teams, but they ended up wanting me on the team. So big shout out to LFM to giving me this opportunity. I'm excited to tank for this team, and yeah, I'm just happy to still be in HGC, and I got to prove that I'm still a really strong tank.
Yeah, and good luck to both of you this season. I'm excited.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I'm really excited.
Yep,
All right,
I think
we will
all
see
are.
you. We will see you guys next weekend. I believe. What is next weekend? The 23rd. Is that the 23rd?
Yes.
Yes.
Something like that.
I believe next weekend we will have Math of the Storm guest starring to talk about, to talk about all of the math behind Heroes of the Storm, like percentage-based damage and all that fun stuff. I hate math, but I'm looking forward to it. I hate math so much. All right, guys, we'll see you next Saturday at 11 a.m. PDT, and thank you again.
Yep.
All right, bye, guys.